Hey YouTube, welcome to another market analysis. So for this one, we're going to talk about just two coins. So we're going to talk about Bitcoin because it's the market leader, and then we're also going to talk about an altcoin which could be a very lucrative short if we do see some things come into play with BTC in the general market. So as always, we will start with BTC on the bigger time frames, and this is going to be the weekly chart using the Coinbase exchange. So we have talked about this for a little bit now. We see that the price did break this zone, and the last video we had the weekly candle really right on top of that resistance zone, so we were speculating that it could push up higher, but with the hour chart and the 4-hour chart looking a lot more bearish, and especially with the weekly chart closing right at the low right here, it does look a lot more bearish. We see the wick protruding out of the body, but we seem to be closing right at this zone. So for me, it definitely looks like it is going to be a break, a retest, and then a push back down, creating lower lows. So that's where I'm seeing on the weekly. And let's look on the daily here. We did get that push up, but we did get stopped by the resistance around 7,800. This was the previous market structure support right here when we were in that consolidation, and then we broke down and pushed back up. Now we're using this zone as a potential zone for our resistance. Now this is also in confluence with the descending zone, which will be very clearly shown on the 1-hour chart, but I just want to display the bigger time frame and be able to see the support here, which is now a new resistance. So that is it for the daily, and let's go on to the 4-hour here, and we can see that it's still within the zone of the projection here. I was really patient, and yes, I did enter here. I did take positions off at this zone here, as well as my other altcoin trades, so I was in the green pretty good, and then it was actually a pretty good timing because I was going to enter if it did break, but it didn't give me any confirmation. And this is what I'm saying for, yes, you do have to follow your plan, but if I just held here and was expecting the bullish move up, I knew when I was entering on this reverse head and shoulders that this zone was going to be a key area for me to try to break. And I wanted to take profits here because there's a chance, obviously, of it pushing back down. And we are counter trend trading, so I do like to sometimes capture profits a little bit earlier, or capture enough profits that if I do take that loss, I'm actually coming out still profitable because of the counter trend trading. The chance of me being right is a little bit less, and I just wanted to elaborate that on a little bit more because a lot of people were like, it's still in a downtrend. Well, it 100% is, but the short-term price action pattern did give me indications that we were going to have a little bit of a bullish move up, as well as the zone of confluence here. Does not mean that it's going to continue upwards. All I was saying is there's a zone of demand here, and there's a good chance of us seeing some bullish momentum to the upside, and that creates volatility for us to capture some profits. So let's go back to the 4-hour here. Not a whole lot to talk about. We do have an ascending support right here, which we'll get into on the hour chart. And I just want to touch on the reverse head and shoulders here a little bit more. So the breakout point was going to be at that $7,400 zone, which was right here. So for me, that is going to be the key level for us to pass in order to really see the bearish move happen. Now that we are below this zone here, our new resistance is going to be the zone of confluence right around here with the descending zone along with the horizontal resistance. So now we are looking for more of a bearish bias because we broke this key zone. When we were above it, I think we had more of a chance of going to the upside, and we did see a lot more bullish volume come into play. But after the break, although we didn't see a whole lot of bearish volume, the break to the downside, breaking the $7,700 zone, is going to be my indication that we could see some more bearish action. As well as looking at the bigger time frames like the weekly, seeing the retracement from the highs there all the way right touching the bottom of the resistance is going to give me a confirmation that we could see the trend continue on lower. So I do look at every single time frame. Well, not every single time frame, but I look at the weekly, daily, 4-hour, hour. Mainly, those are going to be my 4 time frames that I always keep a close eye on. So now we've talked about all these. We're going to go into the hour chart and talk about what we see in a little bit more of a granular detail. So what do we see here? We see around this zone, I was really looking for a bullish push. Why did I think that? We see so much more buy volume in this area, and we do see more accumulating buy volume where we see the initial bullish push here, and then we saw more buy volume come in when we broke the resistance. So for me, I was definitely looking to a little bit long here. I did take positions off right when we touched that red line, and then my stop loss was just below this zone. So I did capture a little bit of profits with the rest of my position, but the majority of my profits did come from when I sold this area right here. My plan was if we did break to the upside, I would still have my position in play, not all of it, but I still had some positions in here. And if we did come back, I would add to my position before breaking up to the upside. But unfortunately, we did not see that. We held below the zone. So that for me is a good confirmation that the sellers are still confident and are still dominating the market. We needed an exhaustion. Look how far of a move that is. We needed some level of an exhaustion for the bears to take a breath before powering into the next down move. So for me, it's looking a little bit more bearish. I know I was a little bit more bullish, but I did say over and over again, the key level that we want to pass is this descending resistance zone. I've been saying it over and over. I look at trend lines and zones of support and resistance to confirm my trade. And because we didn't have a confirmation of a break in this zone, although there was signs that we could have with the volume and the higher highs and higher lows, breaking resistance, holding supports, all that did give me confirmation that we could see a break, but I'm not going to add to my position out of hope. I'm going to add to my position out of understanding the market conditions and understanding the market structure. And we didn't get the market structure we need in order to add more to the position, so we didn't. And then after this point, we are looking like we could see more of a little bit of a pullback here. And then what I did notice and what I talked about on the cryptocurrency chat for our Discord is another normal head and shoulders, where we had a reverse head and shoulders right here. And it does look like we could see another head and shoulders appear around here. Now, when we look on the 4 hour, it is a lot more clear. Let's just take this off so we can see a little bit more clear. This is going to be the breakout zone for both areas. So we see the first reverse head and shoulders here, very, very clear. This one is a little bit less clear, but I still think it's a valid zone. So let's get our line out. This is how I see it. We see the line here. Let's just make it white. So let's draw our line, make it white so it's a little bit easier to see for the eye. So we saw push up, right? And then this is going to be the left shoulder. We saw push back down. This is going to create our first level of the breakout zone support. We broke the previous resistance, which is right here, creating our head. So this is going to be the head of the head and shoulders. We got immediately got rejected back down below the new support, which is right here. We did hold it for a little bit longer in this zone, but unfortunately we did break back down, creating now it looks like our second shoulder, our right shoulder, right? So ideally we would see the price come back a little bit further down. If not, that's totally all right. So we're getting our next shoulder. What might we see next is another test of the descending zone. We see it being tested right here very, very strongly. And if we do hold this zone and then come back to around here, I'm really going to be looking for a potential bearish move to the downside, because this is going to be a very key level of the breakout zone like we saw here. Except on the move down, we are going with the trend. We just tested this key zone, and I ideally would like to see, if we hit the right shoulder, a pretty solid bearish move to around this zone here, where we see a lot more bearish volume. Now, looking back at here, the push when we hit that resistance zone right here got less buy volume than the initial push breaking the reverse head and shoulders. And if we look at this kind of trend, we see decreasing buy volume. So this means that, yes, initially we did see higher highs and higher lows with the bullish continuation after the reverse head and shoulders broke, but because the long-term momentum is still down, we're still in a bearish trend. And I think we can see that even more clear on the daily chart. Very, very clear lower volume right here, lower volume bars. So for me, this is just a healthy pullback, retesting this zone, could see another move down. And it doesn't mean that we can't capture profits on both sides of this market. So we are, right? We took the 9K trade right here, short all the way kind of down to around here. And then we took a long here, captured a little bit of profit up to this zone, and we could potentially see another move down with the TA that I'm showing you right now. So we're not there yet. We do have an ascending trend line that we still are holding above, so it could look like, if we do hold this zone, I have no idea, we could see a potential like this, where we could actually break out. I don't exactly know, but with the current price action, I'm a little bit neutral. Although if we do see a break to the downside, I would not be surprised if we use this key level right here. This is a triple confirmation zone of confluence for supply. So where's our three zones? We have the horizontal zone, we have the descending zone, and then we have the ascending zone, all lining up right at the $7,600, $7,700 zone, right around here. That's where I'll be looking to potentially short if we actually do get that outcome. Now, in the case of it breaking right through and we don't get a hold of this area, like if we do see a break below right here, I would be looking at a retest around here. I have no idea. We could see the price come all the way back up here, and then the potential short would have been stopped out. I would re-enter here as long as the buy volume is not looking too strong and the sell volume is still confident. So there's no guarantee in trading, obviously, but this is how I'm looking at the market right now. And if the case of BTC actually holding the support zone and breaking upwards, I'll be looking for a bullish continuation, and I'll be looking for longs. But right now, we're in a very, very key area in the chart right now. We have very key touch points along here, so we can really use this line because it's so respected to risk off of. And then we can also use the zone in the descending projection right here to also risk off of, because we see it being used as a key level of resistance with all these respected touch points. So it's squeezing the price closer together, and this is the apex right at this zone, which also has a horizontal zone in line with it as well. So we're not going to do anything right now, but because we talked about the potential short opportunity here, especially looking at the weekly, we're then going to talk about an altcoin that did rise significantly due to a catalyst in the fundamentals, but the sentiment in the market, if it turns bearish, could be an extremely lucrative trade for this alt. So I'm not going to talk about the fundamentals. Research it yourself. I'm a very, very technical trader. I look at charts, I look at price action points, key levels of supply and demand, and that's how I trade. I don't really look at the news that much, if ever, because I am mainly basing the entire trade off the chart. If there's some catalyst in the market, like we saw in the altcoin, it's going to get priced in. And for me, I can look at the continuation of the bulls and go, all right, there's some catalyst here, and there's a lot of confidence for the bulls. I can jump on with the confidence until the market structure looks a little bit weaker. So I don't really look at news that much. I think it's a lot of FUD, FOMO. It's a lot of hype. I don't really like to use it in any way, shape, or form to actually trade and make my trading decisions with. Now, if a coin does pump, I will look what actually happened. It's not like I'm never going to look what happened, but I view the chart as my source of information, not really fundamental catalysts, because it happens all the time. It could be a very, very positive thing for the pair or the stock or whatever you're trading, and it could still go down, right? So you can't base your trading opinion just on fundamentals. That doesn't work. You have to time the market, you have to manage risk, you have to set areas where you think could be take profits, and all that information is stored within the chart. So for me, why not just look at the chart instead of trying to use fundamental analysis to gauge my trade? So I just thought I'd throw that out there. So now that we've talked about BTC and the potential of a move down if it does actually break this ascending trend line, we will now go to our altcoin that we were going to talk about, which is going to be MATIC paired with USDT. So I know a lot of people can't short this. The people in the States don't have Binance to actually short this, so unfortunately that can't work out. But for the people not in the US who are actually able to use the margin account for Binance, this could be a phenomenal opportunity if it does present itself. So this is the hour chart. Let's go all the way back to the daily and just see how much it climbed. Monster move. Check the fundamentals. There was a mainnet launch around on the 25th, which is right around here, and that's where the huge shot up came. Now it does look like on the daily, this is the high right here of the close. Obviously the high would be around here, but I'm talking about the candle body close, which is about right here. And we do see the touch right with the wick there. The body could close there. I don't exactly know. We're not shorting yet, obviously, right now, but just want to identify that this was the highest point on the chart that we closed on the daily with ever. So it's a very, very significant part. And not even that. We see that we got 3 closes on this zone. So if you look, zoom right in, we got the first close, which held the momentum right here. And then the second close was a doji candle, which is an indecision in the market. And look how much movement that was. From bottom to top, we're talking 84% in a single day. So there's a ton of sensitivity at this area. The next candle opened at this area and dumped right after. So we got 3 days here where the price was at this level, not being able to close. So we got a lot of sellers driving the price down. So for me, there's a key area on the chart for me to look at. So now that we've identified that, yes, this is a key area where sellers have been before, we can then move on to the price action here. And I just want to touch on a couple zones here. We see the first zone, I'm looking at this here, and then a little support, and then a resistance. That's where I'm looking to align our next level of support, as well as the hesitation here. We see our next level of support around here. It could be a zone, so let's just draw it a zone because it is a little bigger. We see a previous support turn into a new resistance, or yes, previous support, which is right here, turn into a new resistance all along here. And then we are now potentially going to have that as a potential take profit if we do see a fall around this zone. Now, because we have a fundamental catalyst along with this trade, we have to be very, very, very cautious that we're not trading against the grain. We want to see on the smaller time frames the trends start to shift the opposing way, meaning downside. So what does this mean? Well, first, we see lower highs, lower lows. Second, we see breaking of supports, holding of resistances. We also want to see the sell volume come in and become stronger than the buy volume. So for me, that is the three keys that I really look for a potential continuation or a potential reversal from the high here. So I'm not going to enter short, obviously, but when we look on the hour chart, I will show you some things and indications that show me that we could see the top here, because there's a ton of wicks on the hour chart touching this zone. So now that we've talked about the overall structure of the trade on the daily, actually let's just look at the weekly just to talk about it a little bit more. This zone right here, I've already looked on the weekly, so this zone right here is going to be a little bit higher than on the weekly, but obviously we haven't closed yet, so I could see the price retrace a little bit back down here by the weekly candle close. So let's go from the daily now to the 4 hour and analyze the pump up. So this is a very healthy pump. We see the breaking of resistances, holding of supports. What do I mean by this? Well, this is a key level of resistance. Look at how many wicks protruded out of the bodies here. That's a very key level of resistance, and we'll just draw a zone right here. We broke above this zone, indicating bullish volume. We see increasing buy volume, which is really good to see. When we do see the candles close red, we don't see a lot of sell volume at all, really, if any, at this low here. So for me, that is an indication that we could see another push to the upside. What do we need to validate the zone? We need a retest, and now to validate it as a new support. We do see sell volume come in for the retest, but looking and comparing, we see a way more buy volume than sell volume. So for me, it could still see a continuation to the upside, which we did exactly that. The next move up did hit us right at the high of the daily candle right there, and that's where we're stalling out right there. So let's just delete all the drawing tools and now move to the hour chart to break down the potential high. So this is what I was talking about for those wicks here. Now we do see every single time there was wicks, yes, we did get a little breakdown and we got a massive push up. So does not mean that once we see wicks, we're going to immediately short. That's not what I'm saying. But this is going to be a resistance zone from the daily, but also looking at the wicks there. And right now, we do see a decrease in buy volume come in, so we could see the top here because of the multiple things that I did say, but I'm not going to obviously just short because I think it could be the top. That's just running in front of the train. We could see a bullish move just immediately take me out. I'm not going to even think about entering just yet. But I am looking at this for a potential short. Let's just draw in our key levels of potential support and demand. So let's look at the key levels right here. And let's just make that a little bit more precise. Right around there. So for us, this is going to be the key levels here. We do have a minor one right here. It's a little bit wider than I'd like, so I'm not going to really use it too much, but that is going to be another level right there. So we do have a lot of levels here where we're going with. And what we want to see is the price breaking the levels and then holding them, not making it back up. So we will go over a few potential tops on this chart so we have a good idea of what we could potentially see. But what I would like to see is this is a minor level of support. This is a pretty key level of support. I want to see the price break this zone and potentially use it as a new resistance. This is going to be breaking support, holding resistance. I want to see a significant amount of sell volume come in on the drop down, and then when we're climbing back up, I don't want to see a lot of buy volume. This is telling me that it's just the shorts taking profits. No buyers are coming in and sweeping the price back up. And once we hold this zone and start kind of coming back a little bit down, I'd be looking to potentially short. Now, in the case of it not even hitting here, and let's say if the price comes all the way back down here, huge sell volume coming into play, I'm still looking to short, but what do I want to see? I want to see a pullback, right? I don't want to enter right at the last little push of the impulse move. I'm going to get absolutely demolished because I know there's going to be some level of pullback hitting my stop loss. So I want to wait and be patient for the pullback before I enter again. So I'm thinking if we do push all the way down here, this is going to be our pullback here. And if we just get a little pullback to around here, it's going to go like here. But if we actually do have that perfect situation, short here, short here. But let's say we actually get the price to come all the way back here. Well, I probably might actually be taken out here. So let's say we go here, and then we get the price to start to come down, like we go here, and then we get a little double top. And then let's say we start breaking the tiny little support here. I would definitely look to short here. So then that's where I'd be looking to short. I'd put my stop loss above this zone, and then I'd be looking to take my profits way back down here. So that's a really, really solid risk reward. But let's say, for example, I actually enter here, but it comes back all the way up here. Well, for me, that's still a good potential short as long as all the boxes are ticked off for the volume. The bigger time frame is still looking bearish. I could potentially even see maybe even a support kind of around here. I don't exactly know, but I'm looking at this zone. Another thing, now that we're talking about ascending supports are key for potentially looking at reversals. Now, we always want to be looking at horizontal zones because those are our key zones of supply and demand, but we also want to be paying attention to the ascending trend line that most uptrends have. Now, when we look right here, how many times can we see the price touch a key level? Well, if we just draw a line right here, we see the first touch, and then this is the first anchor point, and then we see a type A, type B, and a type A. So for me, this is a very valid zone for me to risk off of. Now that we have not only the ascending zone, but we've discussed the horizontal zones, we can then talk about zones of confluence. Now, we don't have a whole lot of descending zones, so we can't have triple confirmation. Like, we could, I guess, put one right here, but I'm not really going to be using that. I'm going to be using our horizontal zones as well as that ascending zone. So this is going to be the first support, like we talked about. We have this one right here as well, that we talked about as well. And then we also have this minor little support right here. Now, what this ascending trend line is doing is creating key levels where we could potentially see a zone of confluence where supply is going to be more than average. So in this certain circumstance, because we have two zones, we can identify zones of confluence. Now, which ones are our zones of confluence? We see a zone of confluence right here. We see a zone of confluence right here. Obviously, because the price is all the way up here, unless we see an absolute dump very soon after and then a pullback, we're not going to be able to use this zone of confluence. The zone of confluence we will be able to use is this right here because we still see the price has a little bit of room to grow. The price could come a little bit further down here and then maybe come up here, and then we could still see that play out. So for me, that's where I'm looking to potentially look, especially with the sell volume if it does come in. And now that we've broken this uptrend down into its structure, we can now look at potential tops at other uptrends and then discuss them. So if we look right here, let's look at this structure of the market. So we do see an uptrend forming here, not perfect, but this is how I would draw it. There is a little bit of a candle closing below this zone. I definitely know that. Not perfect, like I said before, I wouldn't use this actual trend line to execute, but we see the price support, and then break. So we're going to leave this line here, but this isn't going to be a very, very respected key zone. We just have to keep that in mind. What we're going to use is our key zones of horizontal support and resistance, like we did for the previous market structure. So if we do our normal horizontal and resistance zones, so we see the first level, actually we can even do it like this, right? So we know that we're not actually cheating. So this is going to be our first key level, right? But then we're also going to draw in a more respected zone when we actually zoom into the 15-minute chart. But I just want to talk about the key zones here. So we have pretty big zones right around here. So those are going to be general non-execution zones. But what I actually want to do is go on the 15-minute chart and then kind of go one by one of how I would actually do this. Let's just do it like this. And then let's play it a bunch here. So we see the price coming back down, and we could probably just actually go like this to make it more precise on the 15-minute chart. Boom, there we go. That's a very, very precise area. Now that we actually have an ascending zone that is very well respected, we have a touch here, 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 and now it's just looking like it's breaking here. We can use our zones of support and demand. So this is going to be our first zone right here, and then this is going to be our second zone right here. So now that we've identified that, We can just let the price action continue to play out. This does look very similar to the structure of the price action that's currently being looked at right now. So I just want to reiterate how important this potential zone is. So we broke this zone here, right? We can see that, and now we're retesting for a new resistance. We could enter a feeler position here, which would just be a potential maybe 10 or 20% of your normal position. And we could use that as a level of risks. Now we could have, now for feeler positions, I do like to have a stop loss quite a bit higher because the price could continue upwards in this little area here. So let's just move this. So we could see the price kind of continue up along here. So I do want to leave quite a bit of room. And the only time I'm going to actually enter is when we get a very, very clear break way back down below this zone. And then I want to see a pullback to validate this new resistance. So that's where I'm looking. And let's just say I put a feeler position in this right here. Obviously, this is an example. And this is where I'd probably put the stop loss, just probably around here. And the take profit will, I don't exactly know where it was, but let's just say the take profit is around here, just for simple sake. I'm not going to put that. I got to have it at least at a 2 there. So let's say it's around there, just so I have a minimum of a 2 risk reward. So let's continue on with the price action here. So we do see that pullback. What I was talking about, not a problem. It's a base created right here. Once we break the base, I'm really looking bearish. I want to see a pullback, and that's when I'll enter my full position. But this base here, and see how close the price is hitting and breaking the base, that's really good for our short. So in this situation, I'd really look for a very, very aggressive move to the downside soon after. Tried, did not happen, and still not seeing a major move. Nice slow move to the downside. And let's see if we do get a pullback. There's our pullback. All right, now we're looking to really, really enter our full position here. Why is that? Because we have a clear break. Even on the 1 hour, I'm sure we're closing back here. Obviously, 4 15-minute candles equals 1 hour chart, or 1 hour candle. So we do see a clear hold of the hour candle. So we see a break. We see a retest of this previous support, old resistance. And now we're going to expect our push to the downside. So let's take these off and let's wait until we get a couple of red candles on the 15-minute chart and we see a little bit of a pullback kind of to around this zone here. But let's continue on with the analysis. Now we're really looking for a bearish move. Okay, so this is the point where I'm definitely looking to short. We got let's zoom in here a little bit more. We got the candle. Let's just close all these. We got the 15-minute candle right here. Long wick touching this zone and then a very strong move to the downside. Now this, for me, is going to be the entry. So let's just put our entry. I think it was like around here. I kind of don't remember exactly. And let's just put our second entry right here. So we have our 2 entries right there. And my stop loss, let's just say our short position is heavier weighted to this entry. So let's just say our entry is right here. And then our stop loss is going to be just a little bit higher, like so. And then our take profit at a minimum is going to be 2. And if it does push further, great, that's awesome. So that's going to be the trade that I'm going to take. I did give a little bit more room than I could actually see, like we could have it a little bit right here. But because this pair is a alt and it's a very small cap alt, I do want to give a lot more room than the average trade because it's more volatile. So let's continue on with our analysis here. We do see a bit of a pullback. And then we see the price continue down and it's holding a bit of a support here. And then once it breaks, we're going to see it push back down. Not a problem. And it's looking like it could hit our take profit. Let's just continue on. Let's just play the chart here. There it is. So that's the take profit. And there is, I would have taken that profit right there. So, yeah, I would manage the trade a little bit more and maybe take half off there or whatever. I'm not really talking about trade management. I'm just talking about the trade and understanding the direction and how to understand the momentum shift. So that's about it for this quick little analysis. I did go pretty in depth into what I could see here. Unfortunately, US people cannot trade this, but even if you aren't trading it, understanding the process of how to break down a potential reversal and actually paper trade it, it's not going to be the level of psychological practice that you would be getting trading real money, but the technical side of understanding it is going to help you so much, because being able to spot potential trend reversals is going to be so helpful, because yes, you're not going to get the absolute top here, but you're going to get the meat of the move. So let's look back at the daily here. What were we looking for a potential take profit, right? We were looking, if it does come back down, where's going to be a key level where the price has really made a decision? Right around here, right? We see the push up. It's making a decision to not let the price go back down to below this zone. We see for 2-3 months here, the price is holding above this zone. Once it breaks, we don't see the price go above this zone. Yes, we see wicks, but I'm talking about candle closes. We're not seeing it. So in my opinion, if we do break down below this zone, we're going to see a lot more sell volume come into the market. But until we actually break it, we have a chance of doing something like this, where the market structure is not allowing it to pass below this zone. So for me, I do want the take profit to around this zone, A, because our risk reward is just absolutely phenomenal, and B, we see it used as a very key level of resistance, previous support. So that's my plan of attack for MATIC. Obviously, you're not going to short forever because the cryptocurrency market does go up in the very, very long term. But for short term, we can always speculate on the price action up or down. So I hope you got something out of this TA video. I'll just remove all that. I am going to be keeping a really close eye on that. I will keep the Performante Premium students updated like always. We do have a lot of people around the globe trading on the Binance Exchange, not in the United States, so there will be a lot of people being able to trade this as well. So like always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything about our platform or the Discord or really anything, feel free to drop a comment. We love feedback. We act on it if it is something that we could implement into our business or trading or kind of anything in between. We do like to have feedback from our viewers. So if you are living in the United States, I hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving or having a great Thanksgiving. And if not, I hope you had a fantastic weekend and are preparing for the next trading week ahead of us. There's a lot going on in the markets. We saw a ton of volatility from BTC, and it looks like we could see more coming into this upcoming week, with the weekly chart looking super bearish, closing right at that new resistance. So my bias is a little bit more bearish on next week. We always have to be dynamic and open-minded. I always say, yes, like my bias is either up or down, but that can change if the price action is showing me different signals. Just because I have a certain bias one day does not mean I will stick with it for days and days or weeks or even hours. If the price and if the chart is showing me something that is different than what I thought before, I'm always going to change my plan. You can't be dynamic, you have to be dynamic, sorry. You can't be static and just have a fixed mindset thinking it's going to go down, it's going to go down, or it's going to go up, it's going to go up. You will get burned so badly. You have to trade with the chart it is showing you. So after that little rant, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, happy trading.